Imagine, only 1% of the jet stream's wind could supply all of America's electricity needs. Airborne wind power is on the rise. Individual green buildings are great. A cluster of green buildings in a community context begins to completely reinvent what development and urbanism could look like. Cobb Hill Co-Housing is a community of like-minded folks whose intention is the daily practice of sustainable living. And they are influencing people and corporations all around the world.
The idea was to preserve the farmland and preserve the land, thus putting on more people into the space without disrupting it in a huge way or cutting it up into little tiny 10-acre parcels. So what that did was it created something that helped snub urban sprawl.
We're intentional in the sense that we have some aspects that we're looking to pursue in terms of sustainability, community, farming.
You think globally and you look at the resource use, and then you look very locally at what you can do. So, yeah, the idea I think was to create a way of living such that if all people did it, it would actually work for the planet.
The Sustainability Institute, located here at Cobb Hill, is a shining example of thinking globally and acting locally. The solutions residents are discovering to their local challenges turn out to apply on a much larger scale. In fact, they are consulting some of the giants of the global food industry.
All of those systems, the primary producers or harvesters tend to be under income pressure. And the rational solution for each individual farmer or fisherman or sawmill operator or logger is to invest in scale or technology to be more efficient, to produce more, harvest more. If a farmer is under income pressure, the rational solution is to get a bigger tractor and more land. For a fisherman, it's to get a bigger boat and catch more fish. For a sawmill operator, it's to run more trees through the sawmill, make it more efficient. And it's individually rational, but collectively suicidal. It's one of our searches now with the Sustainable Food Laboratory is how to shift some of the rules and incentives and motivations for all the players in that system so that what's good for individual players also end up being good for everybody. For example, we're working with Cisco, which is a very large food service company, the largest in the country. They've created pest management, a set of standards about recycling materials, reducing the use of materials, and reducing pesticides. And just in the first year, that program reduced 300,000 pounds of pesticides on 375,000 acres. You think of Cobb Hill here, we have about 3 acres of vegetable.
How do these global lessons translate back to the farm? A key element of their regenerative economic model is community-supported agriculture, in which local residents subscribe to the farm. And one of the main reasons they do so is to be first in line for the wildly popular Cobb Hill cheese. So this is one of the big success stories from Cobb Hill, is these fantastic cheeses you guys are making.
We think so, and we think it's a success not only because it's making its way in the world and has become a popular and prize-winning cheese in Vermont and in New England and beyond, but because it's giving a market to our farmers for their milk, their wonderful milk. That's where it all begins.
Because all the milk for this cheese comes from here.
That's correct, and that's why it's called farmstead cheese.
So what's one of the things that's fun about these enterprises then, or some of them interrelate. So you have the cows because of the vegetables. Because you have cows, you have milk. So therefore you have cheese. So, you know, these enterprises have sort of built on each other. The chickens too, one of the main purposes of them is not only to provide us with local source of organic meat, but also to utilize their fertilizer.
So part of the reason you're not seeing a lot of tractors on this farm is you have technologies like this. It's a chicken tractor. See, it's a mobile coop, which allows them to move it to new parts of the field. Chickens come out, do what they do. Till up the soil, fertilize the soil, eat all the pests, give you a yield of eggs. Win-win-win solution. Cobb Hill functions like a small village, which means they have to provide their own heat and hot water. I couldn't wait to pay a visit to the epicenter of this little power plant called the Garn.
Yeah, well, the Garn is a smokeless wood heater. And the technical name would be a wood gasifying boiler. So you cook the wood up in a regular firebox like you'd have with a wood stove. And the gases that come off of that then go into a special chamber where they can burn at high temperature. And so that burns all the smoke and all the carbon monoxide, and so you get smokeless performance. We knew right away we didn't want to burn fossil fuel. And wood is renewable, so we said, okay, what can we do with a renewable? We realized if we each had a wood stove, that would be a stinky mess, because when a wood stove heats your house up too much, you turn it down and it smokes a lot. So there's a huge efficiency gained by operating a central boiler. Basically, we burn wood here, so all the energy gets held in there in a big pot of boiling water, and then that gets sent out through the community in underground insulated pipes as hot water. So inside your house, there's no sense of anything being different, except there's no burner in the basement. There's a hot water distribution system that passes by you, and you take hot water or not.
It was clear to us as empty nest adults that we wanted to be shoulder to shoulder with people doing something, not just socializing.
As a parent, it means that right next door and up the hill, there's a bunch of other parents who can easily take care of the kids if I need to be off doing something else.
I think there are different people who bring different skill sets to making Cobb Hill work. You know, there's the mechanical piece of all of the ways in which the systems work, in which some of us have, like me, have zero contribution to any of that. And then there are the social pieces of facilitating meetings and issues that come up. And then there are the people who bring a whole range of different kinds of talent and brilliance. And that's what I think makes this community work. And it's also what makes it real. And I think here we're trying to figure out, how do we really create a different way of living that is communal in a very individually, focused society and culture.
At a time when many of us despair that the ecological crisis may be even worse than we thought, it does the heart good to meet people like the ones we met this week and realize that there are solutions, and that they are not only hopeful, but doable, practical, indeed, even profitable. I'm Claude Williams-Genet. Join us again next time for more Regeneration, the art of sustainable living.